What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Cover 2 College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Smithson, joined, as always, by my co-host, the Okie Longhorn himself, Dalt, as usual, first and foremost. How are we doing tonight, buddy?
See, because of the glare. But my sign reads, days since OU scored touchdowns in Red River. We are now up to 738 days.
Okay.
All right. No, it's good. It's good. We Bristol had a mini cheer camp that they did a performance at the Shakota football game tonight. So we're a little late getting to record, but other than that, it's been a good week.
Yeah. Not the greatest weekend for me. Much better for you. We're going to go over our picks here. You completed your first 5-0 weekend on our picks against the spread. I went 3-2, so not bad. We actually both started 3-0 as I was going through here looking at our picks. So we both started great, and then those final two games, obviously the OU Texas, we were split on, and then we split on Indiana Oregon. Those were both wins for you, but it's already Thursday this week, Dalt, so we're going to kind of get right into this recap. We do have some news I guess we can touch on. Since we last met, James Franklin has been fired from Penn State. That's kind of old news by now. But the Nittany Lions going to be looking for a new head coach this offseason, right now, I guess, already. The name that seemed to be the shoe-in fit was one Kurt Cignetti, and those rumors seem to be crushed this afternoon when he signed a new 8-year, $11.6 million per year contract to stay at Indiana, which that'll put him in his 70s when this contract expires. He is obviously what some consider the best coach in the sport right now. That's what some people believe. I think he's definitely top 5, top 3 probably. With the job he's done there at Indiana, that's well-deserved money. And honestly, Dalton, I think it's kind of cool that he's going to hang around at Indiana. Like, if that's what ends up being the case, like, it just tells you, sometimes maybe the little guy can win. Because the job he's done there is exceptional with, historically, Indiana, that's a basketball school. They've never really been any good at football, especially like in our lifetime. Frankly, past that, I don't really know, but I'm going to guess it's just never been great there. Since he got there, I think he's 11-1 now currently in the Big Ten in conference games. They obviously had the game against Oregon this past weekend that we're going to talk about. Massive road victory for those guys, but just a great deal for Indiana. It's crazy to think that they can pony up and pay that kind of money. But that just tells you that they're in this new era of college football, that they think and they want to be very serious about winning, which I think is great. It's awesome. I mean, it creates more parity. Just like the transfer portal, you have another program in the Big Ten, which is one of, if not the strongest conference in the country. And Indiana looks like a force to be reckoned with this year. But just wanted to touch on that. Did you have any thoughts on that before we kind of get into this recap?
I mean, I think Penn State's going to be in for kind of a letdown hire. I don't just love the names that are being thrown into this program right now, but I mean, it's a long time till they make a hire. But at the same time, good for Indiana. Like, you got your guy, you're willing to go spend the 11.6, almost $12 million a year on a coach that really wants to be there. And nowadays, it's hard to find that at smaller programs like Indiana. But good for them. They got their guy, and they got a really good one.
Yeah, completely agree. On the same page there. So we'll get right into this recap, Dalt. We picked 5 games this past weekend, and there were several good ones. Most of these games that we did pick turned out to be, for the most part, really good games outside of really the Ohio State-Illinois game. Ohio State separated, and then obviously our game of the week, Red River. The game was fine, but first one we're going to talk about, Dalt, BYU. They went on the road to Tucson to take on the Arizona Wildcats. They came in here as 1.5-point road favorites as the ranked team in this matchup. And they win this one 33-27. So they do cover the 1.5. So this was a win for both of us to start out with. I don't know about you. I didn't watch this game live, but I did watch the highlights, and I've got it pulled up here. BYU kind of got out to a hot start, scored 14 fairly quick points, and then Arizona, they just kind of weathered the storm, hung around, and then it honestly kind of looked like Arizona was going to win this football game, and BYU scores, I believe, essentially as time was expiring, right, to tie the game.
Yeah, with 19 seconds left.
Ends up sending it to overtime. Was it single or double overtime?
Double.
Yeah. So this goes to double overtime, and obviously BYU, they hold them to a field goal in the second overtime. They then score the touchdown, which is the 6-point difference. What do you think of this one, Dalt?
I didn't stay up and watch this. I went to bed whenever Arizona was up 20, whenever they went up 24-14, and I was like, I think BYU just ruined my perfect 5-0. Like, this is ride them till they buck you, I guess. But
right.
No, it was nice to wake up and watch the highlights, and you're right. I mean, it was a really good game. The Bockermeyer kid played good, not great, but I think the real standout here is the
running back.
Yeah, the
LJ Martin
had a really good game, and then the Parker Kingston, former Utah Player of the Year, kind of reminded everybody why he was a 75-yard touchdown pass from the Bockermeyer kid to go up 14-0. But I mean, Noah Fafita having a really good bounce back year. Like, I understand they lost this game, but the year he's had can't be understated with everything that he's lost. Having Arizona 4-2 and a lot of teams pick them to be the worst team in the conference, that's good for him. Like, he's probably going to play himself back into either being an undrafted free agent or potentially getting drafted.
Yeah. Yeah, just a really good road win for BYU, who we're going to talk about them again this week. They have a massive game coming up they are back at home in the Holy War against Utah, but this was a nice win for them. They kind of just quietly stay undefeated. Dalt moved to 6-0, 3-0 in the Big 12. Nobody really talking about BYU. You feel like this is one of the few teams across college football that just, like last year, I think they started 9-0, and still then nobody was talking about them really. And just not that they're like disrespected necessarily. It's just kind of like, yeah, BYU's there, like they're here, like they're 6-0, 3-0. I did think, like you talked about the Bachmeier kid, he looked good, but he is obviously a true freshman. He had some moments in this game that he looked like a true freshman. There was one, I want to say it was like a bad snap. I saw the highlight, and he flushed out of the pocket and just like threw up a ball into what was like double, triple coverage that got intercepted. Just a really, really bad decision. But then you're right about Fafita. He was, not anything, didn't exactly light it on fire, but had a nice game. And, the Hudson kid had over 100 yards and a touchdown. And I don't know what to think about Arizona. I mean, I think they're a fine team, not good, not really above average, but they may out there in the Big 12, they might sneak up and screw up somebody's season. I'm not sure who they have remaining, but the winner here is BYU. Dalt. We both were on the Cougars at -1.5, so we both start out 1-0. We will move on to what was our second game of the weekend. We head over to the Big Ten. The Ohio State Buckeyes went on the road to Champaign and beat the Illinois Fighting Illini by a final score of 34-16. We both took Ohio State here, -14.5, Dalt. And, really for most of this game, that wasn't really looking great. I thought you have to kind of applaud Illinois for, kind of hanging in there, keeping it close for a majority of this game. But then, kind of late second half, Ohio State just is kind of like, okay, like, we're done here and we're going back home. I really didn't think that Ohio State did anything just crazy special in this game necessarily. They did have the massive stop on the goal line, like the goal line stand. I think Illinois had it 1st and goal from like the 2 or 3 yard line, and they did not allow them to get into the end zone. But Julian saying only 166 yards. Ohio State really didn't run the ball very well in this game. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, Dalt. I mean, you watched your Texas Longhorns play Ohio State, obviously. I watched that game as well. I feel like everyone's and again, I'm not coming at Ohio State. Everyone's kind of acting like Ohio State has like been just this cut above better team than everybody in America. And maybe I'm alone in feeling this way. I just haven't really seen that. Like the Saiyan kid has been fine, not great. They obviously have Jeremiah Smith and the down kids on the defensive side. They have maybe the two best players on each side of the ball in the country. And then they've gotten a lot from the Carnell Tate kid at wide receiver. Also, like I'm not doubting that Ohio State's uber talented, really good. Like I think that they're going to be a playoff team, probably the favorite to win the Big Ten right now. Like, but I just haven't. Like I just keep hearing people talk about them that they're this unbeatable, like cut above team, and I haven't really seen that. But I mean, what did you watch most of this? This was the 11 a.m. game, so we were able to watch most of this one before OU Texas started. What did you think of this game?
The key to this, it's never going to be this season about the Ohio State offense. Like I know Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are the big names in the wide receiver room. Like they may be Jeremiah Smith's the best receiver in the country. But it's not going to be about the offense. The defense is going to be what makes this Ohio State team national champions again. If they continue this way, Illinois' 3 turnovers killed them. Most of Ohio State's points come off of short fields. The goal line stand was a tough thing to overcome. But once again, I mean, you're 4 for 14 on third down. You do go 3 for 5 on fourth down. But you outgain Ohio State in yards, which when you give Ohio State 3 short fields, they can't rack up the yards that they would normally. But I mean, it's Ohio State's defense. Like it's what is the best in the country, quote unquote. And I would tend to agree with that with the way they've looked all year. But I don't know. Illinois had success in places that I don't think people really thought they were going to. So credit to them, but you can't turn the ball over 3 times against the number 1 team in the country and expect to be in a football game.
No kidding.
Foreshadowing there. I mean,
you look at the like neither one of these teams just eclipsed 300 total yards, and Illinois had 5 more first downs. They were not good on third down, pretty good on fourth down, but I mean, I'm kind of shocked to see that Illinois, with Brett Bielema, a team that kind of probably prides themselves on what they would think is, or they are, a physical football team. They threw the ball 44 times in this game. And, I think we both like Luke Altmaier, but I just am not sure that that's really a recipe for success. And again, the story, like you said, and again, I wasn't trying to hate on Ohio State because I do think that they're one of the best teams in the country, and their defense has been absolutely elite. Like, I don't think that they've given up more than. I mean, is this the most points that they've given up all year? 16.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's got to be close. Yeah, I mean they've not given up any points this year. I think per like the S&P Plus, you want to get into the analytics stuff. I think they are like the number 1 defense in the country. So they obviously are very, very good. But this just a nice road win in the Big Ten for them, and they still have a lot to look forward to the rest of the way. Illinois kind of not necessarily falling completely out of things, but this was kind of one that you expected. Illinois, maybe if you want to talk split hairs, they probably have maybe the 2 best losses in the country, them or Notre Dame. But does that really matter in the grand scheme? I don't think so. Illinois is probably not making the college football playoff.
I don't think losing to Indiana 63-0 is gonna win you very many favors when it comes to the playoff committee.
Not a bad loss, but obviously not a great one.
Yeah.
So we were both on Ohio State here, Dalt, and we both win here at -14.5 with the Buckeyes. So we will move on, head over to the SEC. for our third game of the weekend that we picked, and that was the Alabama Crimson Tide. They go on the road to Columbia, Missouri to take on what was the undefeated Missouri Tigers. And to say we were glad to get this one at 2.5, Dalt. We were glad to get it at 2.5. Alabama defeats Missouri 27-24 by a margin of 3 points. We both took the Tide at -2.5. I honestly thought that they'd win this game a little more comfortably than they did. It kind of feels like they did, even though the final score doesn't really indicate it. Like, I just never really felt like Missouri had a lot of momentum early, and then that penalty right at the beginning of the game, defensively, we talked about it when it happened. That was huge. Like, just killed Missouri. I mean, they go right down the field, right? Score up 7-0. They're going to get the ball right back, like 4 plays that Alabama ran, and they had to stop. And the guy makes a great play, and then you want to stand over the dude and flex and scream, and so you get like a flag thrown. Like, I don't know that I agree with that penalty right there in that moment. Like, they're kids, they're fired up, but it's just things that you can't do. Alabama gets automatic first down. They, I think, end up going and scoring on that drive to tie the game, and so then all momentum's lost for Missouri, and they just kind of just never really recovered. What did you think of this one?
So you're exactly right. I mean, Missouri literally walks down the field and scores on Alabama, and we literally
It looked
thought,
easy.
Way too easy. I think it was 6 or 7 plays. They didn't have a single play that didn't end up in yards. The Purbulla kid looked great. And then your defense comes out, hair on fire, gets a stop on first down. The guy makes an amazing play on a bubble screen and blows it up for a 5-yard loss. You're about to be in the 3rd and 15. It wasn't even the guy who made the play who comes over and taunts the Alabama receiver. It's the linebacker coming from the middle of the field comes over.
That's right.
Who's not even involved in the play and stands over the receiver, gets a 15-yard penalty. Alabama just walks in and never looks back, really. I mean, I know that Missouri either ties it or cuts it to whatever, but it felt like Alabama was just going to go away with it. Missouri 1 for 11 on 3rd downs is the big story here. That's not a recipe for success. The Ty Simpson kid looked really good. Not great by any means, but looked really good. You just wonder, like, what is this Alabama defense? Because they look really good on some drives, and they look really bad on some drives. I mean, giving up 325 yards to Missouri isn't like a bad thing, but at the same time, you're Alabama. Like, you're supposed to have better athletes than Missouri. My biggest takeaway was more so that Missouri might be legitimately that good of a football team, and that's a credit to them and to Drinkowitz for what he's put together there. But Alabama wins. They cover, thank goodness. I know Missouri scored with like a minute left to cut it to 3 to kind of make it seem like it closer than it was, but it kind of went the way we thought it was going to.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to come on here and say that, Alabama just dominated this game, because I don't really feel like that's the case. I mean, it was, 20-17 going into the fourth quarter, and they both score a touchdown in the fourth to get that final. And I mean, if you'd have said to Missouri, hey, you're going to rush for 163, 5.8 a carry, the problem here is Purbulla, he threw it to the other team twice. And in these big games, that kind of stuff just can't happen. I mean, neither of these teams were really hurt by penalties, but Alabama dominates time of possession they almost double them up in time of possession, which is huge. And, Alabama, kind of one of those teams, I think that they have kind of, at this current moment, it would have to be them or A&M have solidified themselves as what most people would call probably the favorite in the SEC. Obviously, both of those teams have a lot of meat left on the bone as far as their schedules are concerned. So, everything's still kind of wide open in that conference. And Missouri, they're certainly not out of it because their schedule is pretty favorable the rest of the way. They do still play A&M, I believe. They've got LSU. They got to finish it at Oklahoma, last game of the year. So they have some stuff in front of them as well. But obviously, this is not a season ender for Missouri. But again, we were both on the Tide here. And you mentioned the Simpson kid. Probably at this very moment might be your Heisman front runner, I would say. Like, I don't really know who it would be. Carson Beck's up there at Miami. But, I mean, Ty Simpson's been playing really good ball. I mean, 23 31, 3 touchdowns. He did only have 200 yards. But he's taking care of the football. He's getting it to, some talented wide receivers, making plays. Alabama's playing good football. They got a big one this week. Again, another team that we're going to touch on in our preview. But we were both on the Tide here, Dalt, at -2.5. They cover by the skin of their teeth. And so this was a win for us, both 3-0 currently. But, hey, one of us is going to go the wrong direction moving forward here. And so we will go back to the Big Ten before we come back to the SEC. And what was our fourth game of the weekend, Dalt? Indiana, who we touched on in the open. And Curt Cignetti, he takes the Hoosiers up to Eugene, Oregon, and they win this game 30-20 is the final on the road. They cover the 7.5 point. Well, they don't cover. They cover the spread. Obviously, they were 7.5 point dogs, and they win this game outright in Oregon. And this was a win for you, loss for me. And I'll just be honest. After what I saw last year out of Indiana, I kind of just thought this was going to be the same kind of result. Like, I thought that they maybe just still weren't ready for the moment, and they proved me wrong. So I will give credit where credit is due. This is a massive win for Curt Cignetti and those guys. The Mendoza kid, arguably the best quarterback in the country. We just talked about the Heisman race. He's probably got to be up there as well. Just made some absolute big league throws in this football game. The Surratt kid at wide receiver looked really good. Indiana has a couple of running backs that looked really good in this game. I mean, they just play good team football. I mean, they just looked really good. They looked like really. I just watched highlights yesterday of this game because it was on at the same time as Red River, so I didn't watch it live. They just looked like a better team than Oregon. I mean, frankly, based on that's what the highlights told me. What did you think of this one?
Same as you. I think this was in the 2:30 window as well with Red River. So obviously tuned into our game more so than this one. But the highlights, man, Indiana was more physical than Oregon. The Surratt kid, just super reliable weapon for Mendoza. Always finds a way to make a catch, no matter if he's got a guy draped on him or not. Like, he finds a way, and it's always usually for a first down. Like, they mastered that back shoulder comeback route, and they just went to it when they needed it. But I was really impressed with the run game. Like you just said, they got two really good running backs that are both physical. There was, I believe their first or second touchdown, running back gets met by a safety at the 1 or the 2 and just runs the safety through the end zone.
I saw that highlight.
And it's
I just thought, he brought the business, buddy.
And it's just like, you can't, like, I understand, like, you can't teach stuff like that. That's got to be a mentality. And it's kind of the way this entire Indiana team is wired, like, just tough nose, grind it out, find a way to win football games. And it worked. And credit to them. I kind of let down by Dan Lanning's offense here. Only 267 total yards. 3 for 14 on third down at home. You had to go for it on fourth down 4 times.
And don't forget, they only scored 13 offensive points because they had a pick 6 in this game. And so, I mean, really, you're a Mendoza decision away from, Indiana going into your place and winning by 17 points.
Yep. If not more.
And, early on, I'm seeing highlights again here. Like, the Indiana goes up 3-0, and then Oregon hits them on the big pass play, about 50, 60-yard pass play, where the Oregon kid just ran right by the safety. He had like a 5-10-yard cushion when he caught it running into the end zone. And, like, in that moment, you kind of think, here we go again. But, I mean, you're exactly right, Dalt. Like, you kind of look at Indiana in this game, and it's like, hey, we feel like we were really good last year. We came up short against Ohio State and then kind of just ran into a buzzsaw against Notre Dame in the playoff on the road. We're better than that. And we're back. We're still here. And we're going to prove it. And that's what they did in this game. And so hats off to Indiana. Again, this was a pick that you won on at plus 7.5. I missed on. You got anything else on this one before we get into Red River, and then we'll get into our Week 8 preview. So our final game, Dalt, you obviously moved to 4-0 there. I was 3-1, and we head to Red River, where your Texas Longhorns defeat my Oklahoma Sooners by a final of 23-6. Texas covers. We had it picked at this line went back and forth. We talked about it last week. It was back and forth at 1.5, 2.5 all week long. When we made the episode, Texas was a 1.5 point favorite. That is what we do when we record. We obviously were split here. You took your Longhorns at -1.5. I took Oklahoma. Came down to it. John Mateer did play. Whatever you make of the decision, I don't know. They obviously after the game, he said that he was not limited at all. He wasn't in any pain. I don't know that I fully believe that. I mean, he was bleeding on the sideline. I appreciate him not trying to make excuses. I can say that much. And as a fan, I appreciate a guy putting it on the line in that moment because of how badly he probably wanted to play in that game. But offensively, OU just looked dysfunctional. And I credit that mostly to you guys' defense, which is elite. We talked about this last week. Looked really good. John Mateer looked confused for most of this game, even in the first half, which in the first half, I think you would agree Oklahoma looked like the better football team in the first half of this game. And then second half is kind of a totally different story. But just some really strange decisions, game management stuff from Oklahoma. And then I just thought that for the third time in 4 years, Steve Sarkisian outcoaches Brent Venables in this game. Had a plan. I feel like Texas did, and it worked. And when you look at this game, this is what it boiled down to me, and I'll let you talk. But I talked to my dad about this on Saturday. When you play a football game and you have bad coaching decisions / game management, you can't run the football. You turn it over 3-0. You miss tackles uncharacteristically. You give up a special teams touchdown. You're going to lose. I doubt any team in the history of this game has ever done all of that and won a game. And Texas was the better team on Saturday. What did you think of this one?
I thought that there was a lot of uncharacteristic stuff from Oklahoma, more so than there was from Texas. Not saying that Texas just dominated like everybody's saying. The defense did. The defense played great. Texas went in with a plan, and they literally said, we're going to heat John Mateer up, and they did the whole game until it was out of hand. They heated him up the entire game. They were sending delayed blitzes, both backers. It got to him, and it kind of showed there with some of the misses that he had as the game went on. The biggest thing for me is Oklahoma, the inability to run the football in a regular fashion is going to be the Achilles heel all year. We have talked about this from week 1 whenever they played whoever it was, Illinois State, and they couldn't run the ball very well. And we're like, well, the holes were there. The run backs just missed it. That's stuff you can coach out of them. And now it's to the point where it's just like none of it's working.
Yeah.
And you cannot solely rely on John Mateer to run the football and throw the football, because that is not a recipe for success, especially whenever he's nursing a throwing hand injury. And the offensive line wasn't very good. I know you lost the tackle or guard, whatever position he was in this game.
Yeah.
So you had to bring in your third string guy. there, and it's against the Texas pass rush is not great. But not only running the ball for 48 yards on 30 rush attempts. Now I know John Mateer had some sacks late in the game that took away from that, but that's for 1.6 yards a clip isn't going to be successful against anybody in the SEC, not just Texas.
Yeah.
The surprising part to me was not just that Texas found a way to run the football, but against what is probably the best third down defense in the country, statistically, you go 10 for 17, and Texas has statistically been the worst third down offense in the country, especially in the SEC all year. So I thought that Arch Manning played serviceably. He didn't have to go make the big throws. He took the check downs, let his players make plays, but when he had to make the throw, he did. And credit to him, credit to Steve Sarkisian for, sticking to his game plan and not panicking when you're down 6-3 and you only have like 80 yards in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things about this game that obviously as an Oklahoma fan that I could sit here and probably talk about for another 30 minutes before we got into this preview. I'm not going to do that. Fact of the matter is they just have to be better. Texas played really well in the second half of this game. Like I said, it was really the first half. Neither team looked great, but Oklahoma looked like the better team in the first half of this football game. Texas, y'all didn't get much of anything offensively. And I just, there were so many things about this game that I can't even, I don't know, like, and even from, I told you from a Texas perspective, like, obviously you're happy you won this game, but like, I didn't think that Texas looked like they got it all figured out in this game to me. Like, and I'm not saying that as a bitter Oklahoma fan after they just beat my team. Like, I just genuinely didn't feel like either of these teams looked great, especially offensively. Texas did what they needed to. Obviously, you have the punt return late that really created the separation in this one when it was still a 13-6 football game, but Oklahoma had plenty of chances there. And yeah, you talk about OU's running game and like just a little nugget to throw in there. Like, I was listening to some OU stuff today, and if you talk about like analytics, advanced analytics and stuff, they had said what I was listening to. It was OU per the analytics, their running backs have missed on what would be 300 or more yards projected this season on like basically reading the wrong hole, going the wrong direction, not seeing what was there. So I think everybody's very quick to blame the offensive line, which I do think it's not great. It's borderline bad, especially in the run game. But at the same time, OU, not just at running back, at any position, at the skill position, they don't have anybody that seems to be able to really make a play or make something happen and turn like nothing. Like, you look at Texas and the Wisner kid, like, I can tell you how many of his runs, like, and not that he had a bunch of big runs, like he did have the one there, the 37, 40-yarder, like he broke a tackle. But, like, that's what he's doing. He's breaking tackles. Like, it ain't like he's running through wide open holes. Like,
no.
And Oklahoma just all year they just have not had anybody that can do anything like that. I mean, Deion Burks caught a pass in this game that he's in. There's no one within 10 yards of him, and the first Texas guy that comes to him tackles him.
Yeah,
after he catches it 5 yards down the field,
he's got to make a guy miss right there.
Like, you're the guy that people talk about you bringing in here to make all these plays, and you can't make the first guy miss and get at least like 10, 15 more yards, or possibly even score on that play.
I mean, he probably would have scored that play.
Like, it's just unbelievable to watch. So I'm not going to get off on that tangent. Good win for Texas, obviously. That moved you to 5-0, Dalt. So perfect. I think maybe our first ever perfect weekend on the pod, if I am remembering. I don't think we've ever had one. So
I don't think so.
I don't remember what we went into this week at record-wise, but I think with this, you definitely have you're either tied with me now, because I think it was a 2.
I think I was 2 down.
I think you were. I think I was 16-14 and you were 14-16, I believe.
Yeah.
So
now we're both 19 up.
Yeah. So with that, Dalt,
Or-
we will move.
Yeah.
We will move, Dalt, into our Week 8 preview. We got 5 more games that we're going to pick here, and then we will get out of here. For this week, we got 5 ranked on ranked matchups that we are going to pick. Just kind of a massive weekend, not just these 5 games. There are several, just kind of like last week was, several other games with ranked teams that are big as far as conference races go. You're finally getting into week 8, like some teams that are you're finding out how good people really are. You're getting into the meat of these conference schedules. But our first game, Dalt, takes us over to the Big 12, back to BYU, and the 23rd ranked Utah Utes, Dalt. They are going on the road to take on the BYU Cougars, who come in here undefeated, number 15 now in the country. And Utah, Dalt, when I made the episode notes, they are a 3.5 point road favorite in Provo. Real quick, this is obviously the Holy War. That's what they call it. There's a lot of storylines in this game. I was doing a little bit of research when I was looking at all these games that we were picking, just to add a little bit to them all. Did you know that this rivalry, these two teams hate each other so much, Dalt, that they don't even agree on what the overall record is in this rivalry?
I did not know that.
Both schools have a standing that they consider to be accurate. BYU considers it a Utah lead of 59-33, where Utah is 62-36. So I don't know really how that works, but whatever. And then yeah. The head coaching matchup, you have Kalani Sitake and obviously Kyle Whittingham at Utah. This could or probably will potentially be Kyle Whittingham's last game as the head, or in this rivalry as Utah's head coach. That's what people seem to think. He has a 11-5 record in this game, so he has been very successful. And then Sitake, he actually worked under Whittingham at Utah before he took the BYU job. So, and Kyle Whittingham played for BYU in college. So those are kind of your, I guess, superlative storylines for this game. Utah, though, Dalt, 3.5 point road favorites. What do you make of this one?
I think a lot has to be said with how well Utah's looked since the loss to Texas Tech, which losing by 24 at home is never a good thing, but considering how good Tech has went on to look the rest of the season, could be understandable, as where BYU has kind of limped along in Big 12 play. You only beat Colorado by 3. Sure, you beat West Virginia by 14, but West Virginia's terrible. And then you go into double overtime with Arizona, which is, Arizona's a good team, but they're not a great team. I think I'm going to lean more towards Utah here. I feel like the defense is playing really well, and they're kind of finding ways to score. No, they don't throw it all over the yard, but the Dampierre kid is he's kind of their do-it-all. Like, leads them in rushing. He has 11 touchdowns to 3 picks. But as he goes, the team's going to go. I just like Utah here. I know Kyle Whittingham always have a good defense. And I feel like the Bachmeyer kid is bound to make mistakes in this game.
Yes. Sorry, I had myself muted.
No, you're okay.
Yeah, you look at both of these teams, and BYU's defense only given up just right over 14 points a game. So been pretty good, and they're scoring just under 40. And then you look at Utah, they're scoring. These teams are very balanced. Just looking here at like this preview on ESPN, as far as their stats, BYU averages 448 a game, Utah 459 a game. They both average right around 14 points that they give up a game defensively, 263 to 293. Utah is actually they are the best team in the country on third down. converting 60% of the time right now. Utah 8th in FBS and red zone offense, scoring on 96.6% of trips, Dalt. That is pretty good.
Pretty good. They get in the red area, they're scoring.
Yeah. And I mean, I heard someone talking about this game too with the quarterback matchup, the Dampier kid against Bachmeier. Very similar stats, both right around 1,200 yards, 8 to 11 touchdowns, both have 3 picks. I think just kind of what this game comes down to. You said you're on Utah here, -3.5.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna do a little crossfire here. I'm gonna take BYU. They're at home. It's a tough place to play. There's going to be cougar tails in the bleachers. There are going to be not a lot of drinking going on, because they claim that they don't do that. In what I'm not going to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
So, not going to talk religion on this podcast, but yeah, I like BYU. I just think that they're a little better with what Texas Tech did to Utah. Kind of scares me a little. I like BYU's offense. I like the Martin kid, the running game. He's got just over 650 yards on the season. So I am leaning with the Cougs here. Give me BYU +3.5. I will give you Utah at -3.5. I am kind of just shocked that they're road favorites. Not that I'm not down on Utah. I think BYU may be a little better, but I will say that game against Arizona last week kind of scared me because Utah has looked a lot better since that Texas Tech loss. So we will move on, Dalt. I'll give you Utah. I am taking BYU, and that takes us to our second game of the weekend, and what some would consider one of the 5 to 10 best rivalries in college football. Fans of these two programs would probably say it's the best. I don't think so personally, but that is the 20th ranked Southern California Trojans. They are heading on the road to South Bend to take on the 13th ranked? 13th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. A line is a little fishy on this one, Dalt. Notre Dame comes in here as a 9.5 point favorite. Just real quick, kind of little storylines on this one. This is essentially an elimination game for Notre Dame. I think we would both agree. As far as the playoff is concerned, they lose this one, they are most likely, almost definitely out. Another kind of interesting tidbit about this game, they don't have any scheduled matchups after this year. So this is a rivalry that typically is played every year, but because of, I guess from what I read, some bickering as far as that's concerned, they do not have any scheduled matchups in USC's non-conference schedules. It's probably a Lincoln Riley move, if I'm being honest, but we're not going to talk about that. So Southern Cal, Dalt, they've not went to South Bend and won since 2011. So it's been a while. And then the only other thing I got is, what does USC look like at running back? They lost their top 2 running backs, but they had his name is escaping me, the kid that came in, the true freshman against Michigan and ran for like 150, 160 yards. And did you hear USC got fined for that? Did you hear about this? Because he was listed as out.
Yeah. And then they played him.
Classic Lincoln Riley, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But 9.5, Dalt, what do you think here?
Man, that's steep. Man, that is a steep number. That's just too much in a rivalry game. I know USC's got to go on the road, but USC's not a terrible football team. And Notre Dame, I know the quarterbacks played well this year, but they want to run the football. They have the 2 running backs in Jeremiah Love and, what's the other kid's name that spells him?
Oh, goodness. If you wouldn't ask me, I could have told you.
Anyways,
it's not pulling up. Sorry.
No, it's okay. They want to lean on them, and for me, USC's going to have a good enough offense to stay in this. They may not win it, but I'm going to take USC +9.5. I trust Lincoln Riley's offense to put up points, on what is a Notre Dame defense that, against Miami kind of got lit up a little bit. But Notre Dame's probably going to win this game. I just don't think it's going to be by 10 points.
So you like USC plus 9.5?
Yes.
I am going to agree with you on this one. I think 9.5 is too much. USC, this has been, if not the best, one of the 2 or 3 best offenses in the country. The Jaden Maeva kid has just under 2,000 yards, 71.9 completion percentage. And CJ Carr, he's been fine for Notre Dame. Nothing just crazy, but 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns. He's been really good. Notre Dame turns their defense turns teams over, so you wonder if that may affect USC a little bit. If maybe it gets a little careless with the football. The USC defense is better, Dalt, but it's still not great. So you just wonder. They are pretty good against the run, just giving up right at around 100 yards a game, which it's not really great, but it's okay. But I'm kind of with you. I think 9.5 is too much. I probably would pick Notre Dame to win this game, honestly, if we were picking to win. But I think USC is going to be able to keep it close. And honestly, it just wouldn't shock me if USC went and won this football game, frankly. And I will say this, maybe a bold statement, maybe not. If USC wins this game, they're making the playoff, in my opinion. I think the only game left on their schedule that I would pick them to lose after this game is Oregon. So I think if they beat Notre Dame this weekend, they do have Nebraska next week, but it's at home, and I just am still not in on Nebraska personally. I think USC is a little better than Nebraska. But yeah, if USC wins this game, I think they make the playoff. Honestly, I think they go 10-2. Don't even have to worry about the Big Ten championship. And this would be a quality win. So I am going to be with you here on USC at plus 9.5. So we will move on here, Dalt. Third game in our last 3 games of the week keep us in the Southeastern Conference. Not being biased, that's just what, in my opinion, these are the 3 highest ranked matchups. They feature 4 top 10 teams, 5 top 11 teams. Say what you will about the rankings being biased, whatever. I don't care. But our first one, Dalt, takes us to Nashville, Tennessee, where the 17th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores, I think this line actually has moved, but when I made the episode notes, this is what it was at. I think it actually has went up. But we have it as Vandy at minus 1.5, Dalt, and that is against the 10th ranked LSU Tigers, who are, say what you will. Back to my game notes here, Dalt. Only 33 meetings in this matchup all time. Kind of crazy to think about. These two they're founding members of the Southeastern Conference. LSU has won 25 of those games. This is the first time Vanderbilt has been favored in an SEC football game, Dalt, since 2018. And that was against the Tennessee Volunteers. They actually won that game. And they have not beaten LSU since 1990. 10-game losing streak. So, with that, can Vandy cover 1.5, Dalt? It's basically a pick 'em.
If we would have come into this game and said that one quarterback has been playing light years ahead of the other one in the preseason, you would have said Garrett Nussmeier's having a great season. But in all reality, he's not living up to the hype. And honestly, Diego Pavia is playing good, if not great, football. The talent around him is not going to be as good as what LSU has, but LSU cannot run the football. And I don't understand where this comes from. They ran it decently last year, and it's just a mystery to the fact that this offense looks this bad. The defense is much improved. I know these teams are both coming off of a bye, so how is each offense going to look, or how's the offense going to look coming out, and how good is Vandy's defense going to be prepared for LSU's offense? To me, this game's going to come down to the playmaker at quarterback, and crazy as it is to say it, Vandy has the better playmaker at quarterback. Diego Pavia is a guy that when the game's on the line, you kind of trust him to go win it. As crazy as that sounds, I'm going to take Vandy minus 1.5 here as home favorites.
Yeah, I kind of told myself, honestly, Dalton, before we picked this one, that I was just probably going to go opposite of you on this one, just for a difference. I kind of wanted Vanderbilt, if I'm being honest. I thought you'd lean LSU. I think there's a lot of things about this game that favor. I mean, frankly, LSU's ranked higher. Vanderbilt, I think, is a better football team than LSU.
I agree.
Way more balanced. They're way better offensively. They run the football well. Diego Pavia can push it down the field. He's not going to light you up in that regard, but he can throw it around if he has to. The Stowers kid, he's a really good wide receiver. Obviously, LSU is uber talented at the skill position, but just something about that offense has not clicked. They, like you said, they've struggled to run the football. But some of the things about this game, Dalt, it's at Vandy. Not that, say what you want. It's not exactly a brutal road environment. Like, they're obviously, it's better the last 2 years than it's ever probably been. So it's not bad. But I think that, and maybe this is just, virtue signaling. I don't know. But, like, this game's at 11 a.m. LSU is not used to 11 a.m. kicks. And frankly, especially at home, like, they've not been great in 11 a.m. kicks. Like, you look back to the South Carolina game last year that they were lucky to win. I think they played Florida maybe a few years ago at 11 a.m. at home and just got, like, might have been Tennessee. It was somebody that they played early 11 a.m. game. And their fans are, like, weird about the 11 a.m. thing. Like, they, like, think that, like, they have to play night games in Death Valley. I've heard people talking about it. It just really, frankly, annoys me. I don't like LSU at all. I don't like their fans. I like nothing about that school program. Nothing. I don't like their coach.
That's like say you hate their coach.
There's just something about them I don't like. So I said I was going to disagree with you, but I'm not doing it. I'm taking Vanderbilt minus 1.5. I think they win this game. I think they're a better team than LSU. And I think that's what's going to show on Saturday. I like what Clark Lee's doing. I like Pavia. Coming off that loss against Alabama, a game that they built a lot into. They got the bye week, like you said. And I just think, I just think that they're a better football team. It says here too that only the fourth time in both of these programs, only the fourth time that these programs have both been ranked at the same time in this matchup. First time that's happened since 1947. Dalt. Been a while.
What was the media poll back then? Carrier pigeon? Every vote?
It's been a while. So, yeah, I just think that their defense is opportunistic. Their offense is, you say what you want, it's way better than LSU's. I like Vandy at home here, minus 1.5. As badly as I wanted to differ with you on this one, I thought you were going to take LSU. I'm going to be honest. So I was prepared to take Vanderbilt in this game and ride with the doors. But I'm doing it anyway. Give me Vandy minus 1.5. We'll move on. Staying in the SEC here, Dalt. This is the third Saturday in October. So that can only mean one thing. That's Tennessee, Alabama. Winner gets to smoke the old celebratory cigar. This one is in
tradition.
Yeah, it's awesome. 11th ranked Tennessee going on the road, take on 6th ranked Alabama, who is facing their, fourth straight top 25 opponent at home. They come in here, Dalt. When I made these show notes, this was an 8.5 point spread for Alabama. Tennessee has not beaten the Tide, Dalt, in Tuscaloosa since 2003, but they've won 2 of the last 3, but they've both been in Neyland. Like I said, 4th straight matchup against a ranked team for Alabama, so it would obviously be their 4th straight ranked win. So I will ask you at 8.5, do you like the Tide at home, or do you think Heupel & Co. can go in there and finally get the monkey off the back?
Hey, I love the Tide at home. I think Ty Simpson does a very good job of distributing the football. This Tennessee defense is not what it was last year. I don't know if the corners are still out. or if they've gotten them back. But I do not love the Tide at home plus 8.5.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a touchdown field goal game. This Tennessee offense is really, really good. The Aguilar kid, he's kind of turnover prone, and that worries me, but they run the football well. The Brazils kid is electric, take the top off, contest the ball, wide receiver that is going to really push these corners and safeties back while Tennessee runs the football with some success. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the home environment, being a night game in Bryant-Denny Stadium, give me Alabama to win, but give me Tennessee plus 8.5 to cover.
Okay. I'm going to take the Tide. I think that they have a lead late by 3 or 4, and they score a touchdown to push it to 10 or 11. And so, maybe a 31-21 type game, or 35-24, something like that. Because I really just agree with you on the fact that I don't think Tennessee's defense is very good at this moment, not even remotely close to last year. And I think Tennessee's a good team that, people have kind of stopped talking about a little bit following that, Georgia loss, but, they're sitting there at 5-1, 2-1 in the SEC. I mean, I think you're going to learn a lot about them. I mean, this is a team that with the Aguilar kid, they can push the ball down the field just about as good as anybody in the country. They've not necessarily just ran the ball crazy well this year, but it's a Josh Heupel offense, so they're going to get some stuff probably against Alabama, who I also think that Alabama's defense, like you said, has been not necessarily bad, but just kind of inconsistent, Dalt. I think we both agree on that. Just kind of been hit and miss. So I am going to go. I think Alabama's just the better all-around football team, and so I'm going to go with the Tide. I think it's close late, and I think Bama scores late to push it, like I said, to 10 or 11. So give me the Tide at minus 8.5. I will probably regret it. We'll see. Took them last week. They came through for me. Taking them to the last. We've picked Alabama. What two? This is our third week in a row picking Bama. Maybe fourth week in a row.
We said they played.
It is our fourth week.
It is. They played a top 25 teams. You can't have a ranked matchup and not talk about the game. That's
that's fair.
That's not SEC bias. That is just, it is what it is.
We don't make the rankings, people. Okay, we just pick the games to pick, and these are the best games. I'm sorry, sue me. I'm sure a friend of the show, Corey, he's probably enjoyed the last few weeks getting to hear us talk about Alabama. But like I said, I'm going to take the Tide here at minus 8.5, Dalt. So we'll move on. Our final game in the SEC features 2 top 10 teams. One of them might be a little overrated, but we'll see what we think about that. The 5th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels, Dalt. They are heading on the road to Athens, Georgia, to take on the 9th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs between the hedges. Don't really have a lot of storylines on this one, other than it's a battle of former Saban assistants, Kiffin and Kirby Smart. There's always some pretty good one-liners between these guys. They have a good little fake kind of beef going, off the field. Really all I had down here, Georgia, they come in here as 7.5-point home favorites, Dalt. And I think you're kind of getting into the question of, when you look at Georgia, can they stop the run? They've not been great against the run this year. The defense has really just not been up to what I think Kirby Smart's standard really is, frankly. It's obviously been fine. It's been good, but it's not been great like it typically is. And then, do we have potentially a quarterback controversy in Oxford for Ole Miss? Is there any chance they go back to the Simmons kid, or is it sticking with Chambliss? Chambliss was really not great against Washington State last week. Do you kind of chalk that up as, they had a bye week, and then they probably prepared for Georgia most of last week, knowing that they were going to beat Washington State? Obviously, the Chambliss kid's going to start, but He kind of started strong this year and has just not been great as the season's gone on. He's been a little careless with the football. But what do you make of this one, Dalt? 7.5 for the Dogs. Are you on Georgia here, or do you like Ole Miss?
You are completely right when you say one of these teams is overranked, like way overranked. And that's not Lane Kiffin's crew. Nah. This Georgia team is not a top 10 team.
But Kirby Smart Ole Miss?
Kirby Smart is a fucking cheater.
Whatever do you mean, Dalt?
In what universe does this
what does this mean?
This right here mean anything but timeout?
Dalt. He was just trying to tell the official that they were trying to throw off the snap count. That's all he was trying to do.
As he's saying,
that's not how you clap, Dalt.
As he's saying timeout, read the motherfucker's lips. Kirby Smart is a cheater. That's terrible. The SEC should have fined his ass for that, and they should find yet again more terrible officiating in the SEC.
It involves Auburn.
We didn't even talk about.
Couldn't have happened to a better fan base.
We didn't even talk about the blatant missed calls in the OU Texas game, but Auburn yet again just getting it broke off in them because Kirby Smart gets away with murder.
Well, yeah, we're obviously not talking about that game, but I will agree between that and the situation on the goal line with the touchdown that was ruled a phone. Auburn 100% got hosed on that call.
They were about to go up 17-0, and they got hosed on that. So, anyways, the overrated team is Georgia. Give me Ole Miss +7, whatever it is, and a half, and I think they're going to win this damn game. I think that the running quarterback, along with a good run game and Lane Kiffin going to draw plays out his ass for this one to beat Kirby. I don't care about the revenge factor of Georgia wanting to beat Ole Miss. I'm chalking last week up to a look-ahead spot. Give me Ole Miss. I think they're the better team.
So, see, the only reason I am hesitant on Ole Miss is because, like, you can say what you want, Dalt, and I don't disagree that Georgia may be overrated. I mean, frankly, all these SEC teams might be overrated, but Ole Miss, it's not like they've just lit the world on fire and looked great. I mean, they beat Kentucky by 7. Arkansas had them dead to rights. We talked about that weeks ago. Only beat what we don't really think is that great of an LSU team by 5. And then the game last week against Washington State. So, I mean, I think Ole Miss is a good football team. And for the sake of my team, I kind of think I want them to win this game. Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to be with you here. As much as I think Ole Miss is a little overrated, I kind of agree with you on Georgia as well. And I don't like Kirby Smart probably just as much as you. You may seem to dislike him a little more than me. I'm kind of indifferent. I do think he kind of gets away with some stuff. He's got a little bit of that. He's got a little bit of that Nick Saban treatment in him. I feel like because that was really bad, like you said last week. So I'm going to go Ole Miss here +7.5. I think they're able to keep this one close, just because I just don't think Georgia has really shown that ability to separate from anybody in any of their wins. And there's a Georgia team that they get beat at home by Alabama. They could have very easily lost that game to Tennessee. Tennessee looked like the better team for most of that game, frankly. But I just think I like Ole Miss here. I'm with you. I like the Rebels at +7.5 as even though they're on the road, I like them as road dogs. So real quick, Dalt, we will recap our picks here, and then we will get into our bold predictions and super dogs. First game we picked, Utah at BYU. You are on the Utah Utes at -3.5. I'm taking the BYU Cougars at +3.5. USC at Notre Dame. We are both taking the Trojans at +9.5. LSU at Vanderbilt. We are both taking Vanderbilt at -1.5. Tennessee at Alabama, we split on. You like the Volunteers at +8.5. I took the Tide at -8.5. And then Ole Miss at Georgia, we are both on the Rebels here at +7.5. Those are our Week 8 picks, Dalt. So with that, if you have we'll do Super Dogs first and then our bold prediction. If you have a Super Dog, go ahead and hit me with it.
I do have a dog that is super, and it is a ranked team that is a dog on the road against an unranked team. Give me Georgia Tech +1.5 at Duke.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little Friday night action.
Ooh, I thought about this one.
I've actually thought about both of these games. Couple of good games here maybe on Friday night. I don't know which one you're thinking, but it may be the same as me. I'm gonna go Minnesota +7.5 against Nebraska. I don't know that I love that, but Nebraska could potentially be in a look-ahead spot. This is on the road. Strange things kind of happen in the Big Ten in Minnesota. PJ Fleck and those guys. I don't necessarily think that they're going to upset Nebraska. Well, I do think it's possible Nebraska could lay an egg here. But give me the Golden Gophers to cover at +7.5. And so with that, Doll, I'll throw it back to you. Do you have a bold prediction for me for Week 8 in college football?
For the second week in a row, I'm going to put the voodoo out there against little brother. The fact that this isn't being played in Jerry World kind of makes me want to lean this way. I don't care how bad Arkansas is. The fans usually show up. But give me Arkansas upsetting Texas A&M Saturday.
Isn't it weird how this game's been played down there in Dallas for so many years and it's not for some? I wonder why they did that.
I don't know. I'm glad it's not though.
Okay.
I'm not sure that they played it there last year.
Nah, I think that they did. I'm pretty sure they did. Oh, Dalt.
Oh boy, here we go. Let down spot for Texas.
Oh, that's too easy, man. Too easy. I'm going to regret this, but you know what? I'm doing this for my good buddy at work, John Wofford. Give me Oklahoma State on homecoming, upsetting 24th ranked Cincinnati at home. It's homecoming in Stillwater. They claim it's the best homecoming in America. I may or may not have partook in some of those activities a time or two in my life. Maybe not proud of it, but that's neither here nor there. Those days are in the past, Dalt. And along with good football being played in Stillwater, those days are also in the past. BP, if you listen to the pod, you'll maybe like this one too. You'll probably tell me that I'm an idiot for making this pick. And so we'll see if he does listen to the pod, Dalt, because I'll get a Snapchat sometime tomorrow probably or something. But yeah, give me the Oklahoma State Cowboys upsetting the 24th ranked, undefeated in the conference, Cincinnati Bearcats. I don't love it, but I didn't like anything else anymore. So that's where I'm at.
I hate that we didn't do winners and losers for last week because my winners were going to be Section 231 for Oklahoma State.
Shirtless guys.
The shirtless guys.
Awesome.
Like how,
that was awesome.
Like that's just like your team's terrible. There's nothing you can do about it.
Might as well have fun with it.
You might as well go enjoy yourself. Nobody got hit in the head with a turkey leg either.
Well, when has that ever happened?
Yeah,
Dalt?
just the vibes in Stillwater this weekend.
Are you trying to tell me that you had somebody in a wheelchair throw a turkey leg at you from the upper deck before? Is that something that happened?
Not only was he in a wheelchair, but he stood up to throw said turkey leg. So if he ever finds this podcast, he needs to know that I did him a damn solid by not having his ass hauled to jail that night. Because the cops in Stillwater wanted to real bad.
That was fantastic. What a great memory. Also, just a little bit of belt to what that night that my Oklahoma Sooners gave the Cowboys. It was glorious.
One of the only nights that I ever cheered for OU.
The recruits in the Oklahoma State recruit section could not figure out why there was 3 of us that were, on visits to Oklahoma State. Why are these guys rooting for Oklahoma? What's going on right now? Fantastic stuff. Great times, great memories. But with that, Dalt, looking forward to this great week 8 of college football. It's good to be back here recording. We will be back sometime next week to recap these games, see if one of us can hit another 5-0 week. We were different on a few games, so maybe a little movement now that you've gotten back, wherever. I can't do math, whatever. I don't want to think about it while I'm trying to talk, but we'll see where we stand when all the dust settles. So if you don't have anything else, Dalt, we will get out of here. We'll enjoy this weekend that's right here around the corner of college football. And with that, we'll see you guys next week. We are out.
One little shout out before I get off, because I promised him I would. Josh Ryan, thank you for answering my FaceTime when I was hammered drunk after the game, even though you were on vacation with your family. Shout out to you, and don't forget to cover the flats.